Have you ever just looked at your own hand and wondered what in the world it's actually made of? Well, today we're going to shrink down and explore the incredible tiny houses that build every living thing. And yeah, that includes you. I mean, it's kind of like magic, isn't it? One day you've got a little cut, and then a few days later, poof, it's gone. But the secret isn't magic at all. It's actually a tiny army of microscopic builders that are working 24/7. And these builders, they're the very things we're made of: cells. Think about it like this. A house is built from thousands of individual bricks, right? Well, our bodies are built from trillions of these tiny living units called cells. And just like a construction crew can repair a damaged wall, these cells are constantly rebuilding and repairing our bodies, one tiny little brick at a time. So, let's go meet these master builders. To really get what they do, we can't just look from the outside. No, we've got to go in. For our tour today, we've picked a plant cell. Now, our own animal cells are super cool for sure, but plant cells have a few extra goodies, like their own power plants and these really tough protective walls, which makes them the perfect little model of a self-sufficient house. So get ready to shrink down with me. We're about to dive into a world that is so small, it's almost impossible to even wrap your head around it. Okay, imagine you just popped on a virtual reality headset. You can feel yourself getting smaller and smaller and smaller until this whole new world just opens up inside a single plant leaf. Here we go. And we're in. Welcome. Now remember, we're treating this cell just like a tiny house. So just like any good house tour, let's start on the outside and see what's protecting this place. The very first thing we see is this thick, kind of rigid structure all around us. This right here is the cell wall. It's what gives a plant its shape. It's the whole reason a piece of grass can stand up straight. So in our house analogy, the cell wall is basically the brick exterior. It's the main structure, and it gives protection from everything outside. It keeps everything on the inside totally safe and sound. But, a strong outer wall isn't quite enough. Right inside of it, we find another, more flexible layer that has a really, really important job. This is the cell membrane. So if the cell wall is the outside of the house, the cell membrane is like the front door with a very strict security guard. It's the bouncer. It carefully decides what gets to come in, like food and water, and what gets kicked out, like waste. Okay, once we're past security, we find out we're not exactly standing on solid ground. We're floating. We're in the cytoplasm, this thick, jelly-like goo that fills up the entire cell. Yeah, that's a pretty good way to describe it. Imagine you're moving through a thick, clear gel. Everything inside the cell is just suspended in this stuff. And this is where so much of the cell's important work gets done. So the cytoplasm isn't just empty space. Not at all. It's the floor that holds all the cell's other parts, all the furniture, if you will. But it's more than that. It's the workshop. It's where all the chemical reactions that keep the cell alive actually happen. It's what makes this house a home. Now, as we're moving through the cytoplasm, there's one thing that just dominates the view. It's this large central sphere. That is the nucleus. And let me tell you, it is the undisputed control center of this entire operation. It's the boss. You can think of the nucleus as the mom of the house, or maybe the maestro of a huge orchestra. It holds all the blueprints, the DNA, and it directs every single activity, telling all the other parts what to do and when to do it. Seriously, nothing happens in here without its permission. And a well-run house needs energy to follow all those orders, right? So let's go find this cell's kitchen, its pantry, and its power plant. Whoa, it's pretty hard to miss this thing. This massive water-filled bag taking up a huge amount of space, that's the sap vacuole. In our house analogy, this is like a giant pantry and water tank all rolled into one, storing water, sugars, and other crucial supplies for later. And now, we've arrived at the kitchen. You see these little green discs floating around? These are the chloroplasts, and they are basically incredible little solar-powered chefs. So, what the chloroplast does is act like a solar-powered oven. It grabs sunlight and uses that energy to cook up sugar from water and carbon dioxide. This is the food that powers the entire plant. And this absolutely amazing process is called photosynthesis. Okay, so the chloroplasts make the food, but something has to convert that food into usable energy. That is the job of the mitochondria. These are the power generators. They break down the sugars to release energy that fuels every single activity in the cell. They're what keep the lights on. Well, our microscopic tour is almost over. But before we go, let's just zoom out for a second and see how all these incredible parts work together to create one single functioning home. Look at how perfectly it all fits together. From the protective outer wall to the power outlets releasing energy, every single part has a super specific job. But what's really amazing isn't just one part, it's how they all work together in perfect harmony to keep this tiny house alive and running. And that kind of brings us right back to where we started. We just explored one tiny house, but plants, animals, we're all made of trillions of these houses, all working together. So if a single cell is a house, what does that make you? A bustling, brilliant, and absolutely amazing city. Something to think about.